Hi, welcome everyone to OU Live. My name is Yehuda Friedman, and we have a really special guest today. Our guest today is Rabbi Yehoshua Fass, the CEO and co-founder of Nefesh. Nefesh is the premier organization to make Aliyah. Over 65,000 people have made have made Aliyah so far, and we're really excited to have Rabbi Fass on the program. So, Rabbi Fass, are you there?
I am here. How you doing?
Wonderful. How are you today? And I love the background.
Spicing it up a bit.
Okay. Well, listen, it's really exciting. And if you could just share with the audience just more about yourself, the organization, Nefesh, the impacts you've been making over the years.
Okay. So let's go back 20 years ago. I was the associate rabbi in Boca Raton, Florida, to Rabbi Kenny Brander, and looking at putting roots down in the rabbinate. And unfortunately, in 2001, right before Pesach, a second cousin of mine was killed in the second intifada. He just celebrated his bar mitzvah. And we were very close to the family, and it very much sent shockwaves to our family and made me recalibrate my plans. When I first got married, we always had our Aliyah or bust within 10-year plan. And somehow, ironically, the more entrenched we became in the rabbinate, the further away that dream was. And this really recalibrated our compass. And I wanted to move to Israel. My wife and I wanted to move and to raise our family in Israel. As we shared our dreams and aspirations with others, we thought that they would respond, "Are you crazy? You're leaving?" But just the opposite. People expressed that they also wanted to, but the bureaucracy, but the employment, but the financial, but they don't have the social integration. And I took a few months off from the rabbinate and did some major research to see whether or not this was episodic, or was this very much the undercurrent of what was happening? Was it indicative of a waning passion of Zionism, or did it really, or it didn't reflect the truth? And we discovered that there are many, many individuals who want to move to Israel. You just have to remove the obstacles. And Israel always looked at itself as a haven for those running away from duress and distress, but never for individuals who were coming and running towards something. So myself and Tony Gelbart founded Nefesh in 2002. We made Aliyah on the first charter flight on July 9th. Fast forward to today. By the end of the summer, we'll help 65,000 Olim. Besides that incredible number, the retention rate is off the charts. Before we came to the scene, the retention rate was close to 60%. So many people left within a year and a half. They were barely surviving. And we wanted to not only quadruple the numbers of Olim, but also completely change the concept of surviving to thriving and having a retention rate over 90%. In 2005, the government of Israel decided to start funding us, which was a historic decision to fund a nonprofit outside of the entire infrastructure of the government. And in 2008, the Jewish Agency signed an agreement that we would become the exclusive address for North American Aliyah. Although we also operate in England, the cooperation was in North America. And since 2008, we are the exclusive address for North American Aliyah, coupled with the Jewish Agency, but you have to come through Nefesh. And we've had the tremendous privilege of helping on the micro level, of helping actualize individuals' dreams, and on a macro level, helping Israel with many national causes. We've helped develop the North and South. We've helped with physicians bringing to Israel. We've helped with educators. We've helped with lone soldiers. And it's an exciting position to be in, that the government reaches out towards us and wants to use or leverage Nefesh Olim and Nefesh infrastructure to accomplish certain goals, national goals. On the micro and macro level, we're balancing constantly. And that's where we're at. It's been 18 years, went by like this, or not. And we're looking forward to the next decade.
Wow, that's incredibly inspiring and tremendously impactful. But the news of the day is very much Corona and the pandemic. There's been reports out there, certainly within Israel, that things are opening up. Can you share what's happening on the ground? because certainly still in America we're very much still in self-isolation. So hearing that there's some hope is and a light end of the tunnel is very exciting.
No, absolutely. I think we're a few weeks ahead. When I speak to family and friends back in the States, I feel like we were there just a month ago. But things are opening up as of last week. 2 days ago, my youngest started going back to school. School starting to open up, certain grades in high school, certain grades in elementary school. Work is starting to open. Now we started doing shifts in the Nefesh office, 30 people in the morning, 30 people in the afternoon. I know by the end of, I think stores are completely open. Restaurants are opening up soon. Malls have opened. And it's kind of bizarre. As of 2 weeks ago, you were driving, there was no one around. You had to go to Yerushalayim, and I had to drive from Beit Shemesh to Yerushalayim. There's no one on the road. And now you drive, it's as if it's a normal day, and you walk around and you can't find parking near the mall and the stores. And it's exciting to see that we're at the end of seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, we're concerned and at least hesitant to celebrate yet. I don't think there's anything to celebrate during this pandemic, but cautious that we're not loosening the restrictions too fast and we'll be rebounding. So some of us are being a little bit more cautious than others, but definitely life is returning here.
So opening the economy is certainly very important and very exciting because people need to get back to work. But also at the same time, unemployment is rising both here in the States and also in Israel. Have you seen any uptick in interest in people from the States wanting to make Aliyah because of this pandemic? Has there been any?
You've asked $1 million question. In the last 18 years of being involved and living and breathing Aliyah, I've never seen such a spike in interest in over close to 2 decades. In May, we saw close to a 60% increase in both applications downloaded and applications submitted. And in the first week of May, we've seen a 200% increase in both applications submitted and downloaded.
200%. That's unbelievable.
I'll give you an example. From May 1st to May 10th in 2019, we had 100 or so households, families that submitted applications for Aliyah for the near future. In the same time period in 2020, we've had close to 350.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
And the trajectory of that growth is spiking. It's an exponential growth, and it's remarkable to see. I don't know when it will plateau, but we are feverishly trying to respond, first assess who wants to make Aliyah in the proximal near future, from now until maybe the Chagim, and who is entertaining the concept of Aliyah post-Chagim or in the future. So creating 2 different dynamic teams of different expertise of a service desk versus Aliyah case management. And so that we're responsive and that we're there to somehow meet the need that's occurring right now. But for sure, it's remarkable. And in the beginning, I thought it was anecdotal. People sending me emails, phone calls, getting 150 phone calls a day to our hotline. And then all of a sudden, the applications started to flow in, and applications downloads were starting to get off, just download like hotcakes. And we're seeing real empirical data that there's something happening.
Is there any way to project what that conversion rate will be from downloading the applications to?
Yeah, so you take a normal conversion rate from either the application download to application submit, and from the application submit to actual making Aliyah. The Jewish agency is doing the same. The government's doing the same. We had an emergency meeting last week to put our heads together to somehow create a projection of what possibly can happen over the next 1.5 years of Aliyah, and whether or not the infrastructure is capable to contain this and to meet the needs of the Olim. But the projections are wild because we're seeing the same trends throughout the world. The reasoning for it, we can all hypothesize of what the reasoning of the spike is. I've been looking at essays and emails that people are writing to me, And it's interesting, I've been using this acronym, the Rashi Tevot of Kamat, Kihila Mishpachat Ta'asuka, community, family, and employment. And I keep on seeing this recurrent chorus in every single email, that Corona, being at home for 2 months, have really allowed them to introspect, to evaluate themselves for a moment, removed from the community, to see their family needs and their personal aspirations. Sometimes family was a major obstacle for them to make Aliyah, and they could be 20 minutes away from a family member, but for the last 8 weeks, they haven't been able to see them. And that itself, that Zoom relationship, where that conversation of using Zoom has allowed them to think about, you know what, this is bad, but it's not that bad, and maybe we can do frequent trips during the year. And obviously those who were able to work remotely are the ones who are having the most success and stability in the profession. And that itself gives tremendous hope of this concept that if I don't find something in Israel, which many do, I could somehow see whether or not I can adapt a remote access to my work. And we're seeing that the refrain being expressed in a lot of communications. On top of it, obviously, Israel managing a little bit better, giving that sense of affinity towards their homeland. And on top of that, I think for the first time being denied access to Israel. Sometimes the heart is pulled to something that it can't have. Never did I ever assume since 1948 that an Israeli or a Jew would not be able to get on a plane and get here by boat or by plane. And for a few weeks, you can't. And sometimes many phone calls during the day are trying to find exceptions for people who have to get here. Rahmana for a levaya, for a funeral, or this morning's a brother to be Masada Kiddushin at his brother's wedding. Because if you don't have an Israeli citizenship, you can't get on a plane.
Wow.
Unless you're making Aliyah. So
but how does that work?
What, Aliyah?
Yeah, and if I want to make Aliyah today, but
so last week we had 18 people who made Aliyah.
Wow.
And if you read the news, you would think that that's impossible because El Al's not flying till June, and don't we have the quarantine hotels, and they're not Israeli citizens. So I've used this term as solution peddlers. If there's no solution immediately, we have to be creative and find a solution. So people had visas, they received visas. Some of these people were in between their homes, so they had to make Aliyah. And they sold their homes, they were progressing, they were expecting to move over to Israel. And we can't just put them in a limbo state forever. So we worked it out with El Al, using some of their cargo planes, which are not really cargo planes. And we did a group of 18 Olim, and Misrad HaKlita and the Jewish Agency, Misrad HaPnim were fantastic. And they went straight to quarantine hotels, which as of yesterday has been abolished. So if you make Aliyah now, through some exceptional flight that we do for you, you go straight to your home for 2 weeks for self-quarantine. But we're working with El Al to engineer a lot more group flights, because looking at the interest for summer Aliyah, we need to have a lot of flights available to us, a lot of group access for a lot of individuals, hundreds and thousands of people moving in July and August.
So what are the challenges that the Olim are facing? I mean, for someone that just lands on the ground, obviously right now they have to go into quarantine. There's the challenges of quarantine, but also there's a challenge, potential challenges of just a new culture, actually getting acclimated to the society. Can you share with our viewers what does that look like? What's the common thread? What's the common challenge that you hear from Olim Chadashim?
So that's a great question. I would put in different categories. Challenge number one is just understanding the information that's coming out of the Ministry of Health and the daily updates. For seasoned Israelis, they're eating this up, consuming the information and understanding it the moment that is communicated. So we're working very hard with the Ministry of Health and other government officials to translate a lot of this information for them. To have all these question marks or lack of clarification on certain principles can throw off an individual. So just getting that information and feeling in sync with the correct information, so that's a challenge. Challenge number two is that many of them are thrown into this, furlough or not furlough with the rest of the country. And it's manageable and it's doable if you're an Israeli and you're seasoned and you know the language. You need a lot of help to navigate that, the compensation element and the benefits elements, and they're amazing in Israel, really remarkable. But you need help navigating that. And then there's the cultural elements that you make Aliyah. I'm talking about the recent ones, and they're looking forward to their Yom Ha'atzmaut, and they're looking forward to their Lag BaOmer, these iconic Aliyah vignette moments that anchor that inspiration and ideological support for your move. And you're doing it in your backyard, and it's hard. So, but they're within, and then there's this, I think everyone is in it together, and there's a feeling of commonality and a feeling of not only monachi but tzara, but we're all in it together. And I think that with an added element of support, external support, is helping the Oleg go through this process. Like all of us.
Yeah.
We've never experienced anything like this.
No, never. But together we're very much we're very much drawn closer together. When we're further apart. But also from the perspective of the financial piece and the economy, because since unemployment is on the rise, and thankfully the economy is opening up, but how does it impact Olim? What's the job market like now? Actually now compared to before the pandemic. Does Nefesh B'Nefesh provide any services to help guide the Olim? If you could just walk us through that process.
Okay, so we have a whole employment team in normal times, a normal team that helps with resume rewriting, helps with connections with employers, helps train them even in the interview, even negotiate certain contracts. We have a job board, which has been remarkably successful, that has over 4,000 companies and organizations, institutions that post before they even do anything, before they take out an ad. They post on our job board and they reach out to us. And it's a win-win. They save their money on advertisement. It's a win for the OLED because they get employed, and no one takes any money for this. We don't take money for this service. And they know that we're going to filter the best and prioritize and help them get the right person. So it's been remarkably successful, and hundreds of people find jobs through the job board a year. The problem is you have 1 million people unemployed because of the pandemic, but it's opening up. In the last few days, I read that 67,000 people moved back into the workforce. I know I know certain spheres and certain institutions are robust and didn't furlough anybody, or did the opposite. They were hiring people. High-tech companies were hiring through Corona. Health clinics and hospitals were hiring through Corona. Certain companies were untouched by it, and other industries obviously were. Tourism industry has been decimated. The restaurant and the food business has been decimated. Hotels and concierge services are also. But like everyone in every country, the sooner that we turn on the economy, the sooner those will rebound, and the sooner that they'll reemploy those people. I don't think this is a long-term issue for people. I hope that Israel recalibrates soon and that everyone will be reemployed. And then we have the robust services to help the Olim. During a normal time, we have more jobs than Olim that we're bringing a year because of this job board and because of the services that we have. So I'm not concerned long-term. I'm concerned just in the short term, making sure that people have the funds to live, especially for those who just came last year, just got employed, just getting adjusted, and all of a sudden got hit by this from left field.
Well, Rabbi Fass, really wanted to thank you for your time. If you have any closing comments to share with our audience, about Israel to give us hope and inspiration, we'd certainly be grateful for that.
Thank you so much for this, Yehuda. Really, and just I implore individuals, the audience that's listening to this are individuals who are Zionists, who feel viscerally connected to Israel. And many individuals, we've talked to hundreds of thousands of people over the last 18 years everyone has expressed, a lot of people have expressed a desire of the option of moving to Israel or somehow connecting in a deeper fashion to Israel. And if we really treat it as a value, then we should explore that possibility. It might not be for you, the timing might not be right, but you owe it to yourself and to your family to explore that option and to discover if the option is viable.
Rabbi Fass, really thank you very much. And also really thank you for your partnership over the years. You know, the OU and Nefesh B'Nefesh have worked together on many incredible programs like the Job and Relocation Fair, where we have actually well over 50 communities in the United States, but then also showcasing so many of the amazing communities in Israel. So, so really grateful and thankful for that partnership, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Be well.
You too. Thanks.